From off-Broadway to open enrollment, how David MacNiven is turned storytelling into a Medicare empire. Welcome to the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast.
We're your host, David and Al Denning.
What happens when a millennial couple dives headfirst into the insurance world, scales $1 million remote business, and decides to share the journey with the world?
You get the Modern Insurance Agent.
Here, we reveal the messy, magical, and sometimes hilarious realities of building a business and a life you love.
From traveling the globe to building remote teams. Yes, even working remotely on top of a mountain in the Philippines. We're sharing insights, strategies, and plenty of laughs to help agents and entrepreneurs succeed.
Because, let's face it, success isn't just about hitting numbers.
It's about designing a life that works for you.
So let's dive in and build something extraordinary together. Welcome back to the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast. If you've ever felt like your past lives or skills don't belong in insurance, this episode will change your mind. But first, before we dive in, I know, right? You can get all the resources, the show notes, everything we've got put together for you, as well as how to follow and connect with our guest. If you go to jumpstartgonow.com/podcast, we'll have all the stuff there for you. Go grab it. And as we dive in today, I'm joined by David MacNiven, a actor, a nonprofit pro, a Medicare agency owner, and the host of Sounds of Health podcasts, which we'll talk about. I'm excited to dive into. He's here to share how storytelling, community, and technology are reshaping the future of health insurance. So let's dive in. Tell us a bit about yourself, David.
That is such a great opening. That one fires me up. Thank you for that introduction too. That was awesome. So, a little bit about me. I didn't ever grow up wanting to be an insurance agent, right? Like that's the joke every insurance agent starts when they begin a presentation. I actually created this slide that has it on the screen there with the quote. And then, of course, it's attributed to no one ever because nobody wants that, right? No, I grew up wanting to be an astronaut and a construction worker. And then when I went away to school, I kind of fell into acting. And when I was in college, never really considered it before. Always thought that it was something I'd like to try and fell in love with it right away. So became a theater major. If there are theater majors out there, you get out of school and hopefully you try to make something of it, but you end up in some other type of industry. And that ended up happening to me. I moved to New York out of college. I did the acting, directing, writing. And then kind of fell backwards into a job in nonprofit. And that work showed me I had other skills and other things to offer. And so I spent about 10 years working for nonprofits in New York and Connecticut while I was starting my family. And then I realized having little kids, it was tough to find the time working for nonprofit because that work was nights and weekends. It was a lot, so I was missing out on things. And a good friend of mine said, why don't you try Medicare? He had been working in Medicare sales for one of the insurance companies here in Connecticut. And he said, I think you'd be great at it. There's a job opening. They don't open very often. So why don't you check it out? And, I was working full time. I had a couple of kids. So I went and I shadowed him for a couple of days. And I realized that the Medicare business really mixed a lot of what I loved together. It was helping people, it was serving people, it was educating people, and becoming somebody that they can trust and go to at a time when they really needed help. So I decided to go for it. I woke up every morning and I studied to try and get my license, and I worked all day, and I passed that, and then I ended up getting hired. I worked for 2 insurance companies to start out. That was about 5 years. And then 2019, that same person who got me into the industry was already independent and telling me you need to come and start your own business. And I had another friend who was telling me the same thing. She had started an agency. She was building her downline. And after a few sleepless nights, I decided to make the jump and open my own business. That was September 2019.
Okay.
So, thankfully I had that AEP.
2020. What
exactly?
What happened in 2020? Yeah. I can't remember, right? So
maybe the world shut down. I don't know.
Maybe. Right?
Walking away from all those benefits was suddenly even scarier. But the good thing is I had one AEP under my belt. So I was able to build a little bit of a business. I knew it was doable. And, COVID changed a lot of things really fast. But I think what it did most in the Medicare space was I think it provided us with a lot of opportunities. So
Hmm.
I was very blessed with being able to get through the pandemic and grow a business while it was happening.
It forced us a lot of shifts in technology, realizing
Yeah.
virtual wasn't this impossible feat and that people actually could use technology, liked it. Maybe pushed on carriers and tech to finally push out that text to enroll.
Yeah.
Finally, one day,
Yeah.
decades after texting existed. But yes, like it did cause things to move very quickly in a space that, let's be honest, isn't known for being a rocket ship in speed on technology and integrating new things, right? Like industry likes some
Absolutely.
consistency and minimizing risk. But I want to come back to the acting thing originally.
Yeah.
Elle's a thespian on that side, and got me really in like the acting or as far as like plays and musicals. And whenever we go up to New York, we like to go see something on Broadway. Or I think last time we went up, we saw Drunken Shakespeare off Broadway, and that was
Nice.
that
That's
was
a
a
lot of
fun
fun.
show. That was a fun
Yeah.
show, yeah. And so and it's interesting because when I talk about with agents, especially when it comes down to sales, social media too, especially for content, like I talk about how something that is a great skill set to have or something to improve, both whether it's phone, in person, or your social content, is like acting or improv or things that really just get you to have your personality come out, get you, to really have fun and not exaggerate, but like be expressive a bit.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
especially when maybe all you have to work with is your voice, like on a phone call, for example, if you're like calling a prospect. And so, have some of those skill sets from the acting and the nonprofit, like how did your background in storytelling community building kind of shape the way that you run your business today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like I've always been a storyteller because when I was younger, what I used to do was I was a writer, and I would have
Hmm.
notebooks and notebooks of stories and things that I was writing all the time. And when I first went to school, that's kind of where I saw myself going. I was too nervous and shy to get on stage at that time. So I feel like I always had a background in creating a story and communicating it effectively. So that actually helped me when I did go on stage because now I was being asked to convey a message to an audience through my performance. And so it was just another layer added into kind of what I had already been doing. And I loved it. I mean, literally the minute I stepped out on stage, the first play I was in, it was Neil Simon's Rumors, and that play is a farce. Like it's wildly funny and fun. And so my character comes in and gets a big laugh like right away, and it was like it just fills you up. It's like, okay, I want to do this the rest of my life, you know. And so I spent many, many years doing that and developing those skills. You know, how to talk to people, how to convey messages, how to listen. That's a huge part of what we do, and I think that's a part that people often forget about. If you know, what we do is sales. There's no doubt about that. But if you're going in to sell a product over what a person needs or not hearing where they are in their lives, then you're doing it wrong. And the first thing you need to do is ask those questions and shut up and let people speak and really listen. So that's a part of it too. And all good acting starts with good listening. So, you know, developing those skills, an active listener, being able to communicate effectively, using my voice, all of those things have definitely helped me in all of the careers I've had.
I love that because good actors play off the cues of others as well, right? And so when
Yeah.
you're talking to someone, you're listening, you're seeing what's important to them, you're seeing, what solutions can I provide, but ultimately I can't provide solutions unless I know what they need and what's important. So I think you're right. What we do is sales, but sales can mean lots of things, both
Yeah.
positive and negative, right? And so it's bringing the right experience and right solutions, and I think more listening and less talking in some cases, actually in most cases, is really great. So I love that. And you've been doing this, like you kind of walked us through, for a while in this industry, right? Like you've
Yeah.
seen some of those changes in this space, which seems every year there's new ones, especially in the Medicare side, right?
Absolutely.
um,
Yeah.
and so now that you're 10 years deep into the Medicare space, What made you decide to go independent when you got to that point? I know you mentioned your friend, but what's made you like, hey, I'm going to step into this independent side, my own business, and build Nutmeg Insurance Advisors?
Yeah, it was a mixture of a couple of things. It was not being tied to another corporation and
Mhm.
kind of having my life be in their hands. I worked for a couple of them, and I saw, how they operate and that they can make decisions that can wipe out your position. It can wipe out your ability to make commission. That's their job. They need to stay profitable, and sometimes those roles are the ones that are the first to go. So I started to see a little bit of the writing on the wall when I was working for the insurance companies, and realized that if I really wanted to build the life for my family that I always dreamed of doing, that I needed to be independent. And
Mhm.
then on the other side of things, with my clients, when I was working for an insurance company as a captive agent, all I could sell was their products. So it was a very different process because many times it wasn't the right fit and I'd have to walk away. I couldn't help those people. So being independent gives me the ability to help everybody. And, I work very hard on contracting with all the insurance companies, having all of the options so that I can better serve my clients. Now, that part is changing with a lot of the things that are going on in the industry. There are plans now that are non commissionable and all of those things. But, I'm always one to start with education first and really hopefully tell my clients all of their options and point them in the right direction, even if it's not working with me.
And coming back to originally on the captive side before the independent, in those situations, it's not fun to be able, it's good to be able hey, I'm not the fit, or maybe don't have the solution as far as like, making that clear to them. But like, it's not fun to be able to say, hey, I don't have the solution for you. Do you find it valuable for captive agents to have connections and referral partners on the independent side for if they do, hey, we may not be the best fit or have a solution for you, but let me get you with my best friend, amazing person, David MacNiven and Nutmeg,
Yeah.
and who's going to be able to help.
I think that's really important. I certainly had those relationships when I was captive to an insurance company. And I really loved working for the insurance companies when I started out because the training was phenomenal. Like it really,
Mm-hmm.
I learned compliance, I learned product, I learned everything that I needed to be successful. I've always hoped that those roles would be more of a feeder role to the broker life anyway. And unfortunately, a lot of the insurance companies don't feel that way. But I do think that it is nice to get started as a captive agent, especially with a company that's doing well, that has a good reputation for training their agents well and making sure that they're doing things the right way. I had that as a captive. So I wouldn't change the way that I went about it. Um, I'm glad that I had that experience before becoming independent.
Yeah, and I find that so true. And I feel like looking at maybe the lifespan of a captive agent and the pros and cons as they come in the industry, a lot on the independent side don't have that really good training support. And I think they find it very, very difficult to get things in place and get enough income and continue to stay in the industry. Whereas you're right, like captives are generally known for having very good training and support and can be a really great intro in. So if more had the path of, after 6 months, year, a few years, like, cool, I'm comfortable, I have the option of transitioning to an independent side. Seems like that could be a win-win all around. But yeah, hopefully they're listening and pay attention on that
Yeah,
side.
hopefully. We'll see.
But more importantly, I'd like to find out if you could explain Nutmeg Insurance Advisors.
Yeah,
Where did Nutmeg Insurance Advisors come from?
sure. So Connecticut is known as the nutmeg state. And if you look up the reasons why, it's this very convoluted story about how people would try to sell these nutmegs that weren't really nutmegs. It's kind of interesting. I always thought about taking that story and turning it into part of what we're doing. But really, the answer is when I went independent, I had a couple of friends who started Nutmeg Advisory Group. So they are financial advisors. And one of them is the person, my friend Scott, who got me into the industry. So he was still doing Medicare and being a financial advisor. So they kind of created that name. They have the building and they helped me to get on my feet when I started my agency. So I shared the office space with them. I'm still here today. I've upgraded to a larger space to have the podcast and all of those things. But I just decided to keep the nutmeg as a part of the name just to make it easier when people were looking for us. I don't know that that worked properly. I probably should have called it something else. But it is, I am happy to be affiliated with Nutmeg Advisory Group and my company, Nutmeg Insurance Advisors, helping people with Medicare, health, and life insurance.
I feel like all your clients should get some nutmeg in the mail, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
get ready for Christmas. I like doing mulled wine around the holidays and Christmas time, so I'm
That's a great idea.
always putting plenty of nutmeg in my mulled wine for some of the spices and stuff. So
Nice.
that would be interesting. Yeah, exactly. Like little branding piece. So
Yeah, that's a great idea.
and before we hop in the podcast, which you did mention, I do want to dive in a little bit on that. But what are you most proud of in how you serve clients today? Like taking that experience both from before getting into insurance to those years on the captive side to the independent. What did you kind of bring with you, and kind of also you feel like unique to you and your agency that you're proud of?
Yeah, I don't know if it's unique, but I mean, the way this business works is it's a long-term relationship building. So you're really not there to sell a product and be transactional. You want that person to stay with you for as long as they can. So that's something that I'm really focused on. And even as a captive agent, when I would walk in and I didn't have the right solution or product, I kept in touch with those people. I made sure that they knew when the time comes, if it ever works out, that I'm there for them. And so that's kind of what I focus on now too, is it's never, if it's not a sale immediately, it might be down the road. They might become a client eventually. And what I try to do, one of the first things I did when I opened my agency is I joined the local chamber of commerce, because I know how important it is to be a part of your community and to also give back. And so I do a lot of volunteer work. I do a lot of work with the chambers and with a couple of local nonprofits. And that's important to me. That it makes me feel good about who I am and what I do. And it makes it more than just, an insurance agency and a business. So I think for me, it's really always been about building community and trying to help the community to be healthier.
I love that. And I know we talk about it because it's the right thing. It also feels good. It's fulfilling, and it's what people need on the relationship side and putting people first and the community and stuff too. But it also makes sense from the business side as well. Like if I'm in relationships, then I'm able to help them at continued points in their lives and their other family members and do an amazing job. And that's how business should be done. If I earn your continued working with me and trust for referrals and stuff off this, which means just higher lifetime value for clients, longer retention, of course, being involved in the community and them knowing you and being a celebrity in the area, and everybody wants to work with Nutmeg, right? And that's also just makes sense too. Plus, yes, it is giving back to the community. So when you do all these things in tandem, it one is very powerful and also is really good for the business too. So it's a win-win all around, is what business, in my opinion, should be, right? So that's a great example. And speaking of another way of giving back to the community that you guys have been doing, and it's really exciting, so I look forward to talking with it a little bit, is your own podcast, The Sounds of Health. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about, what you guys are focused on there, and the podcast itself?
Yeah. So last year, around February 2024, I had a friend of mine post on social media saying, looking for new opportunities, let me know. Has a full-time job, but wants to do something else. And he's somebody that I went to school with. So we were both in the acting program. In fact, I had cast him in a show that I wrote and directed years and years ago. So I reached out. I said, hey, want to have a conversation? And sure enough, he did. And so we started talking about the agency. And I told him about how he could build a business through Medicare, working with my agency. And, if that's something he's interested in, I can support him and help him to get going. And he was very interested. And as he's about to leave, I said, hey, what do you know about podcasts? Because I knew he also had more of a technical background in theater. And his answer to me was way too much. And I was like, oh, we're going to do a podcast, because I've been wanting to do one for a long time. I am an active listener of many podcasts. I really enjoy the format, and I just love a lot of the things that are out there. So I always wanted to do it. So he and I went to work on creating Sounds of Health. And the idea was to create something that is in the same kind of realm of the agency, something that could help us to grow our business, but also give back to the community. And the purpose behind the podcast is to highlight people, businesses, stories, and resources that help others to improve their physical, emotional, or financial well-being. So that being said, it's a really wide net, right? We're casting a wide net. I get to talk to people in all types of industries. We even started new episodes called What's for Dinner. We released our first one this week where we highlight a local restaurant, which was family owned, really amazing story. And, we talk about, how important it is to eat healthy, but also have a place to go where you can just hang out and relax. And so health has a very broad term. There's many things that can help people to increase their health. And we get to talk to so many amazing people. It's really my favorite part of every week, sitting down and interviewing someone. And through my work with the chamber, it's also become a way that we've highlighted other people's businesses. So we get to talk to people about their path. What's your entrepreneurial journey? Help other people out there realize how much possibility and opportunity there is in the world. If there's something you want to do, you can do it. And that's kind of part of what I really enjoy too, hearing how all these people, found their path and created their businesses.
I love that. I really hope agents listening kind of take away the ability to give back, do something that is also like I'm like what you enjoy and like really a positive, value driven approach that ultimately will help with the relationships, the trust, the connections, and ultimately very much so getting plugged in to the community aspect. So I think a lot of agents, oh, this is a sales job. I sell leads and stuff, and don't think beyond like, oh, taking control of my own marketing methods and what I'm putting in place and the relationships I'm building, knowing this is a much more long-term sustainable and ultimately even more profitable approach that you also get to give back into. So I love that it wasn't just like, oh, how do I create some more leads and let me run some ads. It was hey, what is something that really shows us, we get to show our personalities, why give them back and develop these relationships in a deeper manner. That's a really amazing approach, right? That I don't think many agents or agencies are like, oh, I've thought about doing a podcast and really focusing around relationships locally with it.
Yeah, thanks. It's something that I truly am passionate about and really love doing. It gives me as much as it gives anybody else, and it's another way of communicating with people. It's another way of building a relationship. And, instead of it being based on those leads and those transactions, like really being the one thing you can't fake, though, is your genuine interest in other people. You do need to have that. You need to come with that.
That'd be interesting, almost helping some of the local businesses start up and have their own podcasts as well, right?
Yeah.
So now we're talking about a podcast and a podcast and a podcast. We got Inception going on here. So right. I love it. Do you have any particular standout guests or very memorable ones or favorite ones that you can think of as far as during this podcasting process that you've had?
So one of our very first guests was a former baseball player who played in the Major League Baseball for one at bat where he got hit in the head. This guy from Guilford, Connecticut, and his story, he wrote a book about it, and his story is absolutely incredible. Just what he went through with, there wasn't a lot known about concussions at the time and those types of things. And so really great. His name's Adam Greenberg, and people probably could Google it, see that his at bat. It's really tough to watch, but his story and his ability to kind of come back from that and do more with his life, it's really amazing. It's really inspirational. We also had just today, I interviewed a gentleman who had been diagnosed with AML, so with leukemia, and fought it and beat it and created a foundation called the Team John Foundation, where he raises money to support people who have a crisis. And it doesn't have to be leukemia or cancer. It could be really anything, but just when someone hits a crisis moment, that there's some support that's out there. And that's really also what I wanted to make sure to do. Because I network so much, I talk to so many people, I think it's important. There's so many resources out there that people don't know about. So when you do have those crisis moments, or you have those ideas you want to see, like there's ways, people you can talk to and get help. And that's a real big part of what we're doing. So there's so many guests. I got to reconnect with one of my college friends, Sarah Caliendo, who's a kind of a coach for, people who have these really tough, difficult jobs. And she helps them to kind of face burnout. And we get to talk to so many amazing people.
I love that. I love people, and I love their unique stories and the storytelling. Yeah, you're talking about and getting to share those. And yeah, no, baseball. There's a reason I stopped when it got to kid pitch. I didn't trust. I didn't trust none of those pitches. So I stuck to other sports. Yeah. But I know that you're a baseball fan yourself. Is that right?
Big baseball fan. Yeah, it's been a big part of my life. My dad was from Baltimore, so we grew up as Orioles fans, which here in Connecticut is tough to do because everybody's either Red Sox or Yankees fan. We're all in the same division together. And the Orioles were not always competitive, to be honest, but they got good right around the time my kids started paying attention. So now I've got more Orioles fans in the world.
There you go. I grew up in Braves country, so we can just both dislike the Yankees together.
There you go. Yeah.
Love it. And so we talked about the podcast, which I think is a modern technology and form of storytelling, and getting to really showcase those, and even better that we can record them, the video as well from them, and get to share on that side as well. So talked a little bit about some technology putting in place, leveraging your business, and and that's changes you've seen throughout your time in the space as well, going from paper apps, which thank goodness we're not doing those anymore, to CRMs, and now exploring AI. What does that transition look like for you on that side too?
Yeah, I really started 10 years ago in this business. And when we started out, we were taking paper apps. You'd collect them for the day, put them in a lockbox in your car, get home at the end of the night, and have to process those paper apps through an online system. It was so difficult, and it added so much time to your day. So thank God we're not doing that anymore. There's been so much technology that has kind of changed and developed throughout my 10 years in the business. It moves so fast. AI is definitely something that I am actively looking into and working with. ChatGPT, learning how to prompt it correctly in order to make my life easier, developing content. It helps with the podcast because we can put those episodes in there, and it helps us to kind of distill the messaging and things like that. We've learned a lot with the podcast. We started out as audio only, and very quickly learned that video gets more more views and more people looking at it online. So we added video. We've got these cameras I'm using that are AI cameras that track you, so you can actually see if it's going to move. That. And I can turn that on and off. I can zoom it in and out just from hand gestures. We've got a Rodecaster Pro. We've got these amazing microphones. So a lot of technology around the podcast, but also with the insurance agency and with the use of AI. It's all of the things that came at us after COVID, coming out with the phone recordings. And thank God we have an FMO that supports us with the enrollment technology and with all of those things. It's important really to align yourself with a strong upline so that you're not doing everything yourself.
And I love, just like in, podcasting, or just, a lot of things that we have in our lives, we update our technology and we progress, on the insurance space. It almost seems like in a lot of cases there's this is the way it's always been done, maybe getting harder, so let's just do more of those things versus making those changes and updates. So I love that focus on, yes, putting things in place, leveraging CRMs and technology and AI, things like social media and other areas within the business, versus like, here's the phone book and here's some numbers, let's keep dialing them. Things change, and so just like everything else that we update and progress, we should in our businesses as well, while still keeping the relational and human aspect, of course. And especially ways that allow us to do that even more than we would be capable of doing as well. So, so you what were you keeping an eye on when, or like, what are you currently keeping an eye on a little bit when it comes to trends and Medicare and health plans and technology? I know there's been a lot of changes, especially last AEP, looking at maybe again this AEP as well, but just in general, like what kind of trends or shifts or changes are you seeing?
I mean, in the Medicare space, people are concerned because of the very quick changes that are happening, and to see, some plans going non-commissionable to brokers, and for things to start changing in that way, it's important to for me at least to kind of do more than just one thing. So it's good for for your clients that you're able to support them in a number of different things. So that's a good thing. But it's also important for your business to not be all in one revenue stream, and to make sure that you're always learning. I spent an entire year learning about life insurance and long-term care before I sold a single policy. I've taken the time to learn product and make sure that I'm supporting my clients in the right way so that I can develop additional revenue streams, so that, if things start going in a direction that is not good for the business, that I can survive and hopefully continue to thrive. With that being said, just over 10 years, there's been these constant swings, like things change and then they change back. So if you can find ways to just keep going, and it's going to come back. Like I'm actually very optimistic about the future of the industry with Medicare and health insurance in general. I think that the need for a broker is not going to go away. I think it's going to be more important than ever. And so I'm just kind of keeping track of all the ways things are going, and just making sure that I'm developing a way for my agency to continue to be successful.
I like how you pointed out that it's cyclical. And and that's part of kind of some of my predictions with some of this rise of technology, especially AI, and then some of the shifts and changes. I think like Apple rolling out is like call screening and stuff, and a lot of these things that will change a lot how contact methods are done. Because if we
Yeah.
go back, yeah, it was face to face, it was shake hands, it was very personal, very connected, and then things moved a little bit more into convenience, into phone calls and being able to connect and sell over the phone, and other industries, and eventually insurance and stuff on that became more tech driven. And now I think with more and more the rise of all the calls, and then also AI, and what's real, what's not, like the levels of trust and connection and relationships become even more valuable once again from that. And that's where I really see it shifting is, I want to work with a person that can help guide me, that I can trust. And with more and more the rise of AI of what's real, what's not, then I think it will shift a bit more once again back to the people side.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you bring up a really great point. I mean, the way that things have shifted from being able to kind of call people up and talk to them, people don't answer their phones anymore. They shouldn't. I mean, there's too many spam calls and scammers that are out there. But that's also an opportunity for us, because if we develop our phone skills, if we develop our Zoom skills, if we, can continue to connect through technology, that's the important part, because then, you just stand by what you do. You're doing the right thing for the client. They're getting what they need. Then they feel good about calling you or you calling them. And they appreciate the fact that they connect with you in that way. It doesn't always have to be in person. So I think that's also an opportunity for the people that, can develop those skills to really connect via technology. I think it's absolutely crucial and so important, because it is going to get harder to be in person with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think the communication and conversations are obviously still key and critical to what we do. Just the methods change, right? What used to
Yeah.
be phone calls is now text, and then also where people gathering and getting conversation social. And so it's just a matter of changing the platforms, the tools. It's still having a conversation, helping someone, having
Yeah.
trust, finding solutions. It's just the different ways of doing that. And so phone is still great, but maybe is not where I'm starting my initial touching base
Right.
in conversations, and still plays a part though. So, and I think that kind of falls into the kind of question I was going to ask around your thoughts on staying grounded in our values and relationships and the people aspect while still modernizing operations.
Yeah, I think that's really important, is to, think about what is important to you and your company or your family, developing those core values and really standing by them. That it helps you to kind of make decisions in your business, because you can run everything through those values and say, well, that's not a fit, or this is a fit. Or, if I'm going to be the guy that's on the phone all the time, then what's that experience need to be like for my client? I don't know, David, if you've had any customer service issues recently, but I've had a few with some of these larger companies. And I'm not talking insurance, I'm talking anything in your life, right? Where you have
Yeah.
to make a phone call
Mhm.
and you have a problem and somebody needs to help you. And the experience is absolutely awful and it doesn't get resolved. So for us, like, let's be the people that people enjoy calling. Let's give them a great experience. Let's solve their problem. Let's make sure that we're not hanging up when they don't know what's going on.
Yep, definitely understand that. We for 4 months didn't have air in our office, and the building owner landlords zero communication, everything. So yeah,
Yeah,
customer service is important for a lot of
very
reasons.
important.
It's
Yeah.
very relational, right? And you can take years and years to build trust, rapport, relationships, but one bad experience can collapse all of that. So once again, it's so important to keep that value, trust, and communication with your clients, your referral partners, your colleagues, your team. Communication's key, right? And we don't have
Yeah.
any
And,
source of
and
that,
as you
to be honest.
scale, absolutely. And as you scale, you want people to be buying into what you're creating. You don't want to bring people on who are providing the clients with a different experience from what they're getting from you. You can't be the person all the time if you want to grow your business. So you not only get to provide your clients with a positive experience, you provide the people that are coming and working with you with a positive experience as well.
And I know you mentioned earlier when I was like, kind of what, are you bringing that's unique to you? But that is your experience you're providing to your clients, and those relationships. It's you, your personality, how you do things, right? Like, everybody's like, well, I provide products that others also provide products or sales, but every person and also their agencies are unique, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's where we want to highlight, the way I treat a customer and have a conversation and the relationship is different than the person next to me, right? And so I think that's where ultimately it comes down is that's unique in and of itself, right? Even if I've got similar carriers, or solution, like, it's who they're working with at the end of the day, if that's the case. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
so you've got such a rich backstory from acting, the little league coaching, the agency leader. What keeps you kind of grounded, motivated? Like, what are you working towards right now, or you're most excited about over the next quarter or year?
Yeah. So, I mean, everything for me starts with family.
Hmm.
And I've got two boys that are getting to be older in high school. They're going to be looking at colleges. We're doing some college tours, things like that. So,
Okay.
it's really amazing that I have the flexibility to do all those things. And still, I work hard. I work a lot, but I have the flexibility to work when I want to work. And be there for my family. So during a time like this where, the kids are getting older, they're getting ready to go away, I'm just so thankful for being able to be there for all of it. As far as the business is concerned, I'm so happy with the response to the podcast, and I'm very excited to grow our listenership. We're going to be doing more things like this where we're guesting on other podcasts and helping to promote. I love it. We had this quote we always used when I worked for one of the nonprofits here in Connecticut that I loved, which is "A rising tide raises all ships." And that's how I view what we do with the podcast as well, because I genuinely want kind of everybody to succeed. I think that's where community gets better. That's where everything gets better, and so I'm really excited about that part of it. And then with the insurance agency, there's a lot of transition, a lot of changes, but for people that are starting out or people that, are continuing to grow, it's all opportunity. And so I have this past AEP, when kind of things were very stressful on agents because of what was happening, it was more validation for us that there was more need than ever out there. of people that really needed us and needed our help. And, that to me, that's something that I want to continue to do. And I want to bring more people on to serve more people. I think that to me is just so exciting. And hopefully we can continue to help more people.
Yeah, I mean, the more changes and shifts, especially in the senior space, the more there needs to be a guide somewhere to help explain, make sure things are done properly, because you know the effects it has when things aren't right, when someone's in the wrong plan or doesn't have prescriptions covered, or costing more than what they expected off that. So it's so impactful, and they need a guide and someone who can keep up with these changes and help explain and put them in the right place. So I love that. And so you mentioned obviously baseball, but also poker. How do these hobbies feel your competitive edge a little bit? Tell me a little bit about this poker side too.
Yeah, so I've played poker every week for the last 15 years. I've had started out with a group of friends who I'm very close with, and then as some people move on, found other groups to play with. I love poker. I find it to be one of those things. I think it's very similar to baseball in that there's so much going on always. You never stop learning. You never stop paying attention and thinking about things differently. And that does fuel my competitive edge. So it's fun. It takes skill. There's definitely a level of luck involved, but I never stop learning with it. Like there's always a situation that comes up that's new and different, or you're playing with a different person and you're trying to figure out what makes them tick, what tells are they giving off. Baseball too. I think baseball is the best sport in the world, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but I think it brings so many different skills into one game. It's got a focus on individual performance, but you're never going to be successful if you're not working as a team. So all of those things are what I love about both poker and baseball. And they help me to kind of take a break from work and focus on something else, but they also fuel me in a way to always be learning about new things and try to compete.
I love it. I'm very competitive myself. So sports or competitive like video games, like I don't know, it really matter what the game is. I like it if there's some aspect of competitiveness to it. So we'll have to get together and play one of these days.
Absolutely.
Make it one of the poker games would be a lot of fun. Yeah. Maybe at a in-person event we do or something like that. That would be great.
That would be great.
Awesome. And I'd love to have you back. I know we can talk about a lot, and we got a lot of stories to tell, a lot of things I'd love to learn more about as well. But as far as today, what one last question I'd like to ask, is what's something like if you were starting your agency from scratch again today, what's the first thing you do or advise others starting off to do?
So I think the best advice I could give somebody who's just starting out is to stay focused in one area, learn as much as you can about it, become an expert in it. And don't worry about, I know it's hard because we all have to make a living. We have families to support, all of those things, but don't worry about every sale and every transaction. Think long-term, make sure when I first started out and the opportunities that were given to us were things like tabling at a pharmacy, or going out to some type of an event where you're setting up a table, and you go out there and you wouldn't get a single lead. And for me, it was more like I have to keep showing up. People have to see me a few times. They're not going to talk to me the first time, but if they see you, if you're really genuinely invested in what you're doing in your community, then you will be successful. It will happen. So I think those are the types of things that I would tell somebody just starting out. Become an expert in one area. You will grow into others as you go on, and look at everything in the long term.
Love it. Perfect. Thank you so much, David. For those that want to follow you, plug into what you're doing, connect with you, where's the best places they can connect with you?
So to check out the Sounds of Health podcast, you can find us on anywhere you listen to podcasts. But if you want to see the video, go to YouTube and put in Sounds of Health podcast. You can see all of our episodes there. We've had some really amazing guests, so definitely check that out. NutmegInsuranceAdvisors.com is our website. You can see everything that we do on there. can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, all the socials. So, reach out. I'm always happy to have a conversation with people, and would love to hear from everyone.
Awesome. And guys, everybody will have those resources and how to connect with David, as well as the show notes and everything. If you go to jumpstartgonow.com/podcast, we'll have everything there as well. And including those areas he mentioned, you guys can go connect with them and check out the podcast, of course. David, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today and hop in. I really, really appreciate it. Look forward to the next time we get to connect as well, and look forward to the in-person poker games at some point.
I would love it. And thank you. I got to tell you, I love you and your team. It's been such a pleasure working with you guys, and hope to continue doing that.
I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Modern Insurance Agents podcast. We'll catch you guys on the next one.